We're also learning more about what President Obama and Mitt Romney talked about over lunch at the White House this afternoon. Our national political correspondent, Jim Acosta, is getting some details. They also released the menu of what they were eating. But give us the substance.
That's right. Turkey chili was apparently on the menu, perhaps some Thanksgiving leftovers. I did talk to a Republican source who said this was a friendly meeting between the president and Mitt Romney. But Mitt Romney slipped in and out of Washington so quickly and quietly, it was a sign that, yes, he was ready to accept the president's offer to show some bipartisanship, but perhaps not quite ready to jump back on the national stage. It seems the most unexpected moment of the day came as Mitt Romney's vehicle arrived at the White House. As a window was rolled down, an unknown man approached the vehicle and started shouting. Until he was whisked away by the Secret Service. Still, the ever-punctual Romney was right on time for his private lunch with the president. And by private, the White House means just that. No reporters.
Any chance your briefing might be interrupted by a joint appearance?
No.
To view them together, we've seen other presidents and those that they've defeated in presidential election contests together. Why not something for the historical record? Visually or I
think there's at least some chance we'll release a photograph which will go into the historical record. I think it's a private lunch, and we're going to leave it at that.
The White House released this photo and put out a brief statement on the lunch, saying the focus of their discussion was on America's leadership in the world and the importance of maintaining that leadership position in the future. This kind of post-election bipartisanship is nothing new. 4 years ago, it was then President-elect Obama and John McCain.
I think that sends a great message to the American people. These two men were involved in a very bitter election for be president of the United States. I think it speaks well of both of them. They will sit down and have lunch together.
Earlier in the day, the former GOP nominee met with his one-time running mate, Paul Ryan, at this D.C. hotel, where an aide to the Wisconsin congressman says he had a constructive and positive conversation with Mitt Romney this morning. In addition to sharing updates from their families and reflections from the campaign, their forward-looking conversation focused on resolving the critical fiscal and economic challenges ahead. Translation, fiscal cliff. It's a challenge Romney might have faced had he won. But as one of his strategists said on CBS, mistakes were made.
I think we should have done a better job reaching out to women voters. The governor has a great record on women's issues. We should have done a better job articulating that record. And we should have done a better job reaching out to Hispanic voters.
As workers were busy building the seating that will be used in President Obama's next inaugural, Romney slipped out a side entrance of the White House, leaving the Capitol's focus squarely on the man who won. As for that incident that occurred as Romney arrived at the White House, the Secret Service did arrest a man for assault of a police officer. A spokesman says he was combative with uniformed Secret Service agents and interfered with Mitt Romney's vehicle entering the White House. And I did talk to, well, just very briefly with one Romney aide saying, hey, can you give us some color, give us a readout as to what went on in this lunch? You know what he forwarded me? The White House statement, which can be translated as, call me maybe. Yeah. There wasn't a whole lot in there, Wolf.
You know, another line did jump out at me from that White House statement. They pledged to stay in touch, particularly if opportunities to work together on shared interests arise in the future. That's a pretty hopeful sign.
That does leave the door open in the event that Mitt Romney wants to work with the president, or the president wants Mitt Romney to work with him on some of these fiscal issues. And as the president has noted before, Mitt Romney has some expertise in that area. But if you look at all of the body language today, how Mitt Romney came in and out of Washington so quickly, so quietly, without leaving much of a footprint, it seems like there's a long way to go before some kind of arrangement like that might be made.
Yeah, I suspect they, at some point, not now, not next month or whatever, some point they will work together on some projects.
Time heals all wounds.
Yes, it certainly does. Thank you. Despite U.S. objections, the United Nations is getting ready to give the Palestinians another step toward full international recognition. Palestinians in the Middle East certainly are overjoyed. Israel's ambassador to the United States standing by to join us to explain why his country thinks the UN action is a mistake.